back again with another episode of the Construction Dirt podcast. Today's solo hosting by myself, Cam Roy, here in this beautiful city of Delta, British Columbia, Canada. Sponsored once again, yet again, and always by Tiger Lock Group of Companies, JK Thermal Worldwide, supporting us and keeping us rolling on this fine journey for all of you listeners and subscribers, and having a great time with all of it all the time. Today, very special guest, a good friend of mine, longtime industry colleague, Vancouver Construction Association fellow colleague, the ICBA stuff. Joined here today with Scotty Foran. Scotty, how are you today?
Fantastic. Really happy to be here, man.
Oh, spectacular. So Scotty Foran, 505 Junk. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, maybe what you do, or just a little brief synopsis.
Yeah, co-founder 505 Junk, president currently in my role. My business partner, Barry, is the CEO. He's off on his second venture right now with Bolt, which is an accelerator coaching community for junk removal businesses across the world, which is awesome. He's really crushing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm here just representing 505 Junk today, and I reached out to you after I listened to your last podcast. You're like, hey, any guests? And I'm like, absolutely. I want to come in and talk about trash.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been in the industry for a long time. It's been about 15 years now. Obviously, we sat on the YCL together.
Yep.
A lot of volunteering work, on your part. Yeah, for sure. And more recently, just kind of getting into the ICBA thing. And more importantly, I'm really passionate about the construction community and talking about my part in the construction industry.
Yeah. Scotty and I were talking about this last week when he reached out, and I said, we should title this Trash Talk. The episode's going to be titled Trash Talk for sure. So for those of you who don't know, 505 Junk removal company, I guess I will start with this, junk, 505 Junk company, trash. People are like 40-yard bins, or commercial construction sites. You guys are a little bit more boutique, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
And why don't you maybe just start with a little bit of kind of just chat a little bit quick about that and kind of where you guys found your niche market and the boutiqueness of what you guys do.
In the construction industry, it's becoming more and more prevalent for sites to get tighter and tighter and space to become more and more limited, especially in the Vancouver area where we are, where everything's really limited for parking and there's no space to do anything. So we saw a need to get waste off of sites where you couldn't get a bin, and you need to get rid of it now, not leave a bin there for a week and let it marinate with the rain and all that fun stuff and people running into it. More for us, it's getting rid of the waste as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. We show up with the truck, we go up to where the garbage is, and we'll literally pick it up, put it in the truck for you, and then leave. The biggest niche, though, that we kind of really didn't understand when we first started this business, we started off mostly residential, obviously.
Yeah.
We came up with a model where like, hey, we should charge people by weight and not by the amount of space it fills up in a truck, because we pay by weight when you go to recycle this stuff and when we go to throw it away. It's all charged by weight. So why don't we just put a scale on our truck, weigh it on site for them, and then charge them by that? It's a markup. Then we'll never lose money. We'll never make crazy amounts of money off of anyone. Pricing is really fair, right in the middle. And what ended up happening as a result of that is we got a call from Ledcor, which is I think they're national.
I'm assuming so, if not international.
They're pretty big.
They're fairly large if you haven't heard of them.
Yeah. We actually got a call from a Ledcor site super, and he's like, hey, I heard you have scales in your truck. Can you weigh each stream of material for us? We just need to measure all the wood, all the concrete, all the stuff. And
some lead building stuff or something like that.
It was lead. And I was like, I have no idea what lead is, but sure, I can load up all the stuff for you if you want.
I'll do whatever you want.
Exactly. Just give me your garbage.
Yeah.
We did that project. It was very successful. We had a great diversion percentage. We went, wow, that was actually very good niche we have here, and started going after it. And honestly, it just kind of was off to the races after that. We're working with a lot of the major GCs in this area doing specifically high diversion projects, and it really fit what we did because we have to pick up the garbage off the ground anyway. So you might as well just separate it as we're going. Yeah. And it worked out. That's great. Sweet.
So, scales in the trucks, that's a really cool, we call it a unique, or, something that makes you a little bit different from everybody else, obviously, right? Recently I've been talking to Barry, your business partner there and CEO, about a lot of your recycling initiatives too. Yeah. You guys doing a lot of really cool recycling stuff and a bit of more of the sorting and things like that. Landfill diversion's a big one, obviously, for everybody. So
yeah, absolutely. it's a major initiative here in Vancouver, and it's going to get more and more important, which is a topic I definitely want to get into shortly with you. And it's very important for you and for everyone in this area very shortly coming up here. But I mean, in terms of recycling, we're doing all sorts of things. I mean, obviously your standard streams are really easy for us to do when there's a facility for it, wood, metal, cardboard, etc. It's all the other stuff.
And that's what Barry was saying. When Barry was explaining to me, I was just like, hold on, what? Like cell phones and Xboxes and
electronics.
Yeah, electronics was a big one for sure.
Yeah, so there's a definite need for that. And we were actually sorting electronics for a long time and sorting it out and just taking it for recycling.
Yeah.
And then we actually had an opportunity to start doing that on bulk, en masse for a while, which was a really good experiment and a good trial run for us. And we're really passionate about creating that space.
For sure.
Coincidentally, we need to get some warehouse space for that. And I don't know if, maybe someone could help us with that.
Weird.
We're a ways away from being able to fund that project. But when that opportunity does arise for us to look at that, look at that chance to actually get that warehouse and take that initiative on for ourselves, it would be phenomenal.
It'd be huge for you.
Yeah. Like my personal passion is just trying to minimize as much stuff going to landfill as possible. Yeah. And my specific specialty is really weird stuff. And then when I say weird stuff, I'm talking about things like, oh, hey, can you get rid of 400 Herman Miller chairs?
Yeah.
400 Herman Miller chairs. Who could possibly absorb 400 Herman Millers or the 150 desks that went with it and all that stuff? And so I love solving those problems from like, a lot of that stuff comes down to like tenant improvement projects where someone leaves a space and they need to clear it out before they gut it, and they don't want to just throw everything into the bin, which is a good thing. You don't want to throw it all away. But finding partners to manage that kind of mass stream of material is a challenge that I like to overcome. It's been really great. Also, coincidentally, really great for upgrading office furniture.
I was going to say, you guys got 400 Herman Miller chairs in your office.
I've got another load coming on Monday. So if you want some Herman Millers for your office, that's here. Cool.
Do you work on selling those too? Like a bit of repurposed stuff, or do you just...
No, it's not part of our policy to like resell stuff because the optics of it kind of like there is a market for that, and a lot of waste companies I know do that. Okay. It's space here in Vancouver is very hard to come by. And maybe eventually when we get a larger warehouse, we can start doing something like that. We do have some passion projects where we want to repurpose material and repurpose items to sell and then use that money to donate to charity, which would be amazing.
That's cool.
We've done a little bit of that. Usually through a third party. Like there's a auction house that we work with in Richmond that when we work on government contracts, they require us to obviously repurpose as much stuff as possible.
For sure.
And so the auction house that we got introduced to through that government contract, they actually have a charity program. So when we just go, hey,
here's some stuff.
What do you want out of the truck? They'll take out what they can sell. And it's not like they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars here, but
it's going to a great place.
Exactly. $100 here, $100 there. Someone gets to buy the item that they want, and then whatever's left after the proceeds of the sale goes straight to their food kitchen, which is great.
Cool. So before 505 Junk or getting into 505 Junk, like tell me a little bit about your story and kind of like, I'll be honest with you, nobody like turns over in bed one day and is like, I'm going to start a junk company.
That's what you think.
That's what... Okay. Fair enough. Tell me the story.
Yeah. So the roundabout way is that I found out that I sucked at a lot of things.
Oh no.
Golf. Exactly. Yeah. No, I was pretty young, 25 when I got into this, and I was kind of lost, if I'm being honest. At 25, the recession was still kind of in mid swing. Job opportunities were few and far between. The ones that I was being offered or was in at the time. I didn't like the industry I was in. I used to be in flooring. Industry was very corrupt. I didn't really like the way that it worked and how I knew so much about the inner workings of the distribution process, the manufacturing process, like how the end user would end up getting the product. And I just didn't like the way that it was kind of mapped out. And more specifically, at the time, I didn't like my boss. I had a lot of good bosses, just to be clear, but that one I was like, I don't know if I like you. And I remember I met Barry in school. He broke his ankle playing soccer, and it turns out like he was literally from my hometown. We literally lived up the street here in Tawasin. And I was like, I had no idea he's a couple of years younger than me, right? So I had no idea who he was, but I was like, oh,
snowboard punk.
We're in the same school, and you broke your ankle. Why don't I just drive you to school? So I used to drive him to school, and he always tells the first how you met story.
The aha moment.
The aha moment.
Yeah.
The main aha moment for us, we're sitting in class. I have no idea who he is. And, they always make you do those group projects or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is my first year in university. I don't want to mess this up. I better go with a good group because usually I'm the guy that does like the bulk of the work, and you always have that slacker type of thing. So I look around the room. I'm like, who do I think could actually get this done? And I looked around the room. I locked eyes with Barry. It's kind of one of those love at first sight moments where you're like, wow, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
We got an A on the project, and since then we've been crushing it. But cool. Honestly, back to how we started the 505 junk was Barry was laid up in bed with his broken ankle. Yeah. It was shattered. Poor guy couldn't even walk. So obviously, what do you do when you're stuck in bed? Apparently stay up all night writing a business plan. That sounds like Barry. It sounds like Barry. It was for sure him. It still is him in a lot of ways. He'll just have those moments of inspiration and scamper off and start typing away.
Yeah.
At the time, he was just calling me every couple of days. He'd be like, hey, what do you think about this statistic on how much of a market share we can get? What do you think about this operating model? And what do you think about this pricing plan? And he would ask me all these questions, and I was just giving him input. Yeah. And then finally one day he's like, hey, I realize now that neither of us have any money. That's an issue. Or rather, I don't have any money. I don't know if you have any money, but maybe we should kind of put our heads together and rub our pennies together and start this business together. Do you want to start it? And I literally quit my job the next day, told my mom I was going to be a trash man.
How'd that go over?
Very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, she
you always have a straight face when you say a sarcastic comment too. So I'm a little... She's right there for you.
She was, in all honesty, like she was one of those things where she's more concerned about being an entrepreneur rather than the industry I was going in. Like she didn't care about the trash. Like it was more about, for her, it was like the risk financially. And it's like, listen, I'm 25 years old.
Not a lot to lose.
Not a lot to lose here. Like what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, let's just send it. Like I'll have safety rails in place. Like I'll know when I need to back out of this, and here I am 15 years later, and we're still running. Yeah, still doing it.
That's cool.
I can tell you what, one of us is surprised, and it's actually me.
Yeah.
Because I went through this, and I was like, I'll give it a shot for a year or two. And she was way more into it than I was. Like initially, like I was like, oh, I'll do it for a year or two, and then maybe I'll go and see what happens. Yeah. And it was one of those things where after the second year, I was like, I kind of like running my own show. Like
for sure.
Do my own thing. And
so in the beginning, you and Barry driving a truck around, pulling up to somebody's house and throwing some garbage in the back kind of thing? Yeah.
I mean, that was it. And then, it was kind of funny, like after a year about a year and a half of working in the truck with him and answering the phone and doing the invoicing and we just swapped back and forth and we both did everything. I realized I was like, I like driving the truck. I love talking to people. I love selling the jobs. I love doing all those things, but I really don't like some of the back end stuff. We replaced him first because, when you're in the truck every day, almost every day, we were running 6, sometimes 7 days a week for a year and a half, sitting next to someone. Eventually you start getting on each other's nerves.
Even if you are the bestest of friends.
So, it was one of those moments where like, I remember we got in an argument. It was over something like the stupidest thing. It was like which way a table should be placed in the truck.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was like, why?
Why are we fighting about this?
Why are we fighting? Why are we arguing about this? And I was like, oh, it's because we're both burnt out on this and burnt out on sitting next to each other. Like we have a lot of respect for each other and maybe we should work on alternating and swapping this out.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We hired our first person who happens to be our business partner to this day. His name was Alex Elsey. I think you've seen him before. He's the guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Tall mustache guy. It's funny. We hired him and everything since then.
He was the first ever employee.
He was the first ever employee.
I had no idea about that story.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. We literally picked him up off of a job site he was working on. He was working in construction.
Yeah.
He's like, I hate this job. I hate these people. I'm leaving.
Sign me up. Let's do it.
Yeah. So he literally jumped in the truck because we just brought him in on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's cool.
And then we're like, hey, you want to go full time? And just shut up and picked him up in the truck. And that was it. Yeah.
And so, fast forward to today. I mean, how many employees are we looking at today over there?
We're over 40. I think we're close in between 40 and 50. It fluctuates depending on season. We get busier in the summertime and then all the guys go back to school, and then we're like, okay, so we just adjust our work frequency based on that. But like right now, I think we're at 40, 44, 45.
Wow. It's a cool story. Spoiler alert, I've heard it before, but I do enjoy hearing about it. And I'm glad you're able to share that with the world. So
thanks,
that's
man.
Super cool.
I love talking to you about stuff because you're probably the most enthusiastic person I've ever met.
I love to hear people's stories and just where they've been, what they've done, how they got there. And it's always really interesting.
Just an example of how passionate you are. I think it was podcast 1 or maybe the second one. I was listening to it and I can still remember driving home and shaking from how frustrated I was because I couldn't I knew it wasn't live. I knew it was a recording. I'm you're talking about what's in the potato chip bag.
Oh yeah, Jeff, you brought up how are they still fresh after a year and a half in the bag?
Right. And I was it's nitrogen. It's it's an innate.
I want to call Cam and tell him it's nitrogen.
I just want to call you. But the fact that you guys got so into it, you talked about it for 15 minutes or more.
Oh, yeah.
And I was this is just a sign. Obviously, you guys were both really passionate about just whatever subject and journey you go on.
100%.
I think that's part of the reason why this podcast is going to continue to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing.
Podcast in general is just fun. I mean, I just love talking to people. And, I think there's a lot of times I have a conversation with someone. I'm like, man, I wish this guy heard that. Or I wish this guy heard that. I wish this girl heard that. You know what I mean? Because some of the conversations are oh man, that was exciting for me, and it would have been so much more exciting for this other person because they're super interested in this too, or that, or you know what I mean. So to being able to share that with a lot of people it's a lot of fun.
I love that, and I love the fact that you're passionate about the construction industry, and obviously I'm here because I'm passionate about the construction industry as well, not just passionate about garbage. But that's kind of the thing that one of the reasons why I was even reaching out to come on the podcast because there's something that I don't see anyone talk about that's incredibly important to all of us. And it's going to impact not only every construction project across the Lower Mainland, it already is, but all of us as residents and people that live here in the province. So your office, where it's located, you're really close to the landfill over here, right? So you literally can probably smell it on a hot day.
Once in a while.
So are you aware that thing's filling up right now?
Oh, yeah.
So current timelines have it at 2030 to be filled.
That quick?
That quick.
Oh, wow.
It's the contract. The term's supposed to expire by 2037.
Jesus.
But at the pace we're going at, it's going to fill up by 2030.
That's crazy.
So my question for you is, where does waste go?
That's a great question. I mean, I know as a kid, so my dad, he was always full of we call him Glenroy fun facts. My father's name is Glenn. We have family members up in the Caribou. Glenroy used to tell us about there was trucks that would haul garbage up to Cache Creek and then haul back sawdust or pulp fines or something like that. And so I know that is an option or was an option or might still be.
It's going to be the only active one, but that's reaching capacity.
For sure. Because that's been going on since I was a kid. So.
Yeah. It's going to eventually fill up. So we're still going to truck it up there. They actually recently, as in this April of 2025, they just sold the only other spot that was going to be a landfill. It was sanctioned for a landfill. The Metro Van owned it for I don't even know how many years.
Okay.
But it was also up close to Cache Creek, and it was going to increase the capacity exponentially.
Yeah.
And they just sold it back.
Perfect.
Which is great. All the power to them.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
However, where's the trash going? Where's it going to go? Yeah. And I've been thinking about that. And I've been I went down this dark rabbit hole of researching where our trash is going to go.
Yeah.
Essentially, once we fill up the capacity here.
Yeah.
We're going to ship it. It's going to get onto a train and get shipped to the United States. Jeez. And then the biggest thing is they're pumping the incinerator units here right now, right? Obviously, which is, I think, still a great project. It's probably one of the most environmentally friendly ways of processing this because they're taking it and turning back into energy and they're capturing all the carbon from it.
Stuff, yeah.
Super cool technology. And then more recently, there's a bunch of civil projects going on where they're actually pumping it to the major municipal cities. So one's going to South Vancouver and it's going to heat all the residential areas.
Some really cool project. I don't know if you listened to the one podcast we had where I went down the rabbit hole one time about I forget the company name, but there's a company in Vancouver, downtown Van, has a very extensive network of underground
Yeah, and you're talking about the septic...
the steam energy and the tower that's right next to BC Place that's going up in the bottom stories are all the
crazy
all the steam generation. Yeah. So, I mean, and then the biofuel as well, obviously. We did a project up at Burnaby Mountain.
Did you?
For Corex Energy, yeah. And it was a biofuel plant. Who got the contract for that? There's a contract of a guy. He's in Cloverdale Fields in Port Callis area. Shout out. No free shout out. All the recycled lumber. We're very big on recycling lumber, taking it back. And so we take it there and they grind it up and they actually ship it. They do like 5 or 6 trucks a day.
Crazy.
Up to Burnaby Mountain and fill up their hopper. They power and heat the university up there, all the towers and stuff like that. Yeah. Extensive underground network of biofuel. So
crazy.
There's definitely options, but I mean, like you're saying, we're definitely filling up the actual landfill aspect of it. And so,
well, exactly. This is like the products that we already recycle. There's already avenues for recycling that
for
material.
Sure.
Like we can turn concrete into more concrete.
Yeah.
We can turn wood into biofuel. We can reuse the wood. There's a whole bunch of repurposing stuff for that. But the rest of it is kind of...
Can't burn a baby diaper.
You can't, you look at that and go, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So that's very concerning to me. Like, obviously we're going to transport it. And right now the government, what's happening is they're trying to incentivize and create new recycling programs. So I'm currently participating in a plastics recycling program for construction waste because it didn't exist before.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The trick is a lot of the recycling initiatives is there has to be somewhere for it to go. And just because the residential user has access to, hey, I can recycle my plastic.
Put it in the blue bin.
I can put it in the blue bin.
Yeah, spectacular.
What about a construction site? What do you do? Like, sure, you could, in theory, get a blue bin for a construction site and pay for it and whatnot, but you're producing way more volumes and it's all of way different types of stuff that, you need someone to come and sort it for you.
The interesting one for me was when you talk about that is like people were almost, so for you talked about the lead program or the lead projects before. And, like I was on a couple of lead projects back in the day. And at that time, you were almost forced to be part of the lead program. You had to recycle, but people weren't recycling or just diverting from landfill unless they were part of the lead program. It was almost this backward circle where it's like, no, you should be doing that anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's interesting. Like here at RAM, we have some of our own garbage bins for some of our smaller projects. And like we'll park 2 or 3, like on a bigger site, park 1 for, metal recycling and then wood recycling and stuff like that. But, it should be becoming more of a norm for sure. I mean, last few years, I've thought about it more from a financial standpoint.
Right.
Because, throwing everything in one bin and paying that flat rate of garbage is fairly costly.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint alone, it should be worth it, right?
That's kind of the thought process is it should be a no-brainer. Like it should be like, oh, it's cheaper for me to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially with the material coming out of construction sites, like what is it? It's mostly concrete. It's going to be wood, plastics. It's going to be a lot of metal, a whole whack of drywall.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, all of those materials are recyclable.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be producing, but because inherently time is money and sorting takes effort and the facilities to actually like process this material takes time and effort.
Yeah.
Like if we had an abundance of land space, there's an argument to say that the government could create a facility where we could take this material to and it could be sorted and that would create great jobs for people to go through it and we could probably get really good percentages.
Yeah.
But right now it's quite difficult and literally I'm on a project right now. I can't name it. Requirements are 90%.
Oh, wow.
The closest I've ever gotten to 90% was 86.5 or something.
So
and
it's pretty good.
Normally it's like 60 plus.
Yeah.
So we're doing some
that's cool.
Crazy things. I'm wheeling and dealing carpet.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do you want to take some carpet tile to recycle? And like trying to find spots to get rid of all sorts of different stuff. And it's really kind of a marquee project because the reality is the city of Vancouver specifically, and then probably Metro Vancouver shortly thereafter, will start mandating this. It makes sense. And I had a meeting with the city of, where my business, Alex, a meeting with the city of Richmond the other day. Same thing, right? They're just pushing and pushing and pushing on these things. So what does that mean for construction? What does that mean to everyone listening to this podcast that is a sub-trade or GC or site super?
Yeah.
Waste is going to get very, very, very expensive. It already is.
Yeah.
But we're looking at $200 a ton right now for mixed waste.
Yeah.
We're like easily going to be doubling that.
Yeah.
In a short period of time.
Start looking at it now to figure out, and it's going to save you money now, and it's going to save you money in the long run, right?
Exactly. And anyone who's a young go-getter entrepreneur out there that wants to start a business that's in the process of like, we need more processing facilities. We need more places to actually deliver this material to. Like the plastics recycling program I'm currently operating on, isn't even a permanent program. It's a temporary program that's been funded. So if once that funding runs out, it's gone. Yeah. And then what do I do with the plastic? Yeah. Nowhere to go.
It's a tough go.
It is a tough go.
And you're trying and you got to figure out where to take it.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's 4 or 5 processing facilities for plastic in Lower Mainland. And hey, would you like some dirty plastic garbage that's all mixed together with a bunch of different things? No, thank you. No. I don't want your plastic.
Yeah.
So it comes down to several different things. And I think that aside from those 2 initiatives of getting more people on board with doing it, and then obviously the government making it more important to do, and on top of that, the costs rising massively because we're literally shipping garbage on a train, paying more money to get rid of it. The other incentive there is, of course, just not creating the waste. I watched a presentation from Etro. They basically said, we don't want waste even brought to our site. Yeah. So you talk to the manufacturers, you tell them to depackage it.
Interesting.
They'll put it in moving blankets. So things I was like, that sounds crazy. Yeah. Who would do that? But then I thought about it and if you're buying as much material, if you're building a giant tower, like a massive residential tower or a massive commercial tower, you probably have some buying power. You probably have the ability to go to a manufacturer because if you're buying all your product, you can go, hey, all of this in one box, not in 75 boxes.
Yeah, I don't want 4 carpet tiles in 1 cardboard box and 300,000 cardboard boxes.
Yeah, and it comes down to everyone along the stream trying to make their own kind of headway with that by either talk to manufacturers and stopping the waste on that end of the project, talking to the suppliers themselves and kind of going, how can we brainstorm around making this less wasteful? Do we really need to vacuum seal all of these carpet tiles or can they just be loose laid? Or what are we worried about? It is an interesting conversation.
It's good to create the conversation. I don't know if everybody will get to that point of where Mikey's trying to go with it.
Yeah.
But at least if we're all thinking about it, I always think about that from, economies of scale and everybody doing, what are you doing today that you didn't do tomorrow? You know what I mean? What are you doing today you didn't do yesterday? What can you do a little bit more of to make a little bit of difference?
Yeah.
And then grow on that each, day, week, month, year, whatever, just to try and do something better, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. It all starts somewhere. Before my time, we used to not recycle tires. We just threw them away in the landfill. Yeah. We used to not recycle mattresses and all those springs and coils and all that stuff. Now all these things are all mandated to be recycled, and they created a whole little industry around it. And now we have plants for them. Yeah. So the more we push it, the more opportunity creates, the more jobs it creates, the less waste it creates.
The more we're talking about it, I think the more it becomes prevalent and people start realizing it and start pushing for it, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I was going to say, we had a story time. We had a project where it was a facility where they were bringing in a lot of offshore equipment. So a lot of ovens and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot of shrink wrap and stuff like that. But I showed up to site one day and there was a pallet with sides on it. The sides were 4 feet tall. I was like, what's in there? And I walk over to it and look inside. And it was ratchet straps. There must have been 2,000, 3,000 ratchet straps. And we're talking 3,000 pound, 10,000 pound,
big ratchet straps.
And all the ratchet straps and companies that shipped over all these different pieces of equipment, they strapped all their equipment down to the pallets that it was sitting on. And they didn't want the ratchet straps back.
What?
Yeah. So everybody at RAM, everybody that I knew
got a ratchet
straps because I was just because the super's what do I do with these?
Merry Christmas.
There's no way I could throw these away. But it was crazy because their intent was, we don't care. They shipped them over there with these, you go to Home Depot or Costco and you go and buy a ratchet strap. You're talking, I don't know, $20 for a 3-pack kind of thing, right? And it was mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
I understand the need for efficiency. I totally get that. Some nerd in the background, would probably was calculating, okay, well, it takes me 10 minutes to strap down this load with ratchet straps, or an hour if I want to screw it down to the load or bolt it, whatever.
Create a frame around it.
Exactly.
Sure.
So they probably did some math calculation. It's going to be $12,000 cheaper if I ratchet strap it and just leave the ratchet straps with it.
Crazy.
Make it someone else's problem. It is crazy. It's just wasteful.
Yeah.
It's wasteful.
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, like you said, it's about talking about it and creating those opportunities. I'm sure you've been traveling before.
Yeah.
You ever been to the States and one of the states that doesn't have a recycling program?
I mean, yeah.
And you feel dumb. You're walking around with your pop can in your hand, like, where do I put this?
Go?
Where does it go?
Jeff, he's like he loves recycling. Mm. Like you go to his house and I swear to God, the guy's got like 4 or 5 different garbage can recycling cans for different stuff. He's in the States specifically, we'll go to some conferences or something like that. And he's like, he'll put it on top of the garbage can. Like if it's a garbage can, there's no recycling. He'll put like a pop can or a beer can like on top of the garbage can just because he's like, no, I'm not fucking putting it in the garbage.
Yeah, someone's going to come by.
Somebody's going to grab it and recycle it or do something, but at least it's not going for the landfill, right?
Yeah, so. It is very frustrating. I remember that experience. Like first time I went to the States, I was really confused as a child. Yeah. Just standing there like,
where does this go?
Where does the stuff go?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't recycle paper?
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no cardboard recycling program? And that's kind of the mentality that we want to create. And then the more we do, the more the government pushes for it.
For sure.
The more programs are created, the better off we're going to be. I know for a fact it's really frustrating. And I know for a fact that people don't like seeing their disposal costs annually go up by 18%.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's literally, I can call on it now by this time next year. Our costs as a whole, as in your costs on your site and my costs, are going to be 18 to 20% higher.
Yeah.
Now, it's a drop in the bucket because the waste stream is like very small fraction, which is why, first of all, I do appreciate coming on the podcast considering how small of a drop in the bucket I actually make in the grand scheme of it.
I just enjoy talking to you, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's, in general, you do some cool stuff. You're not just throwing a bed on a site and calling it a day and picking it up and tossing the garbage. Yeah. You guys are pushing the forefront of innovation with the trucks and the scales. You're pushing the forefront of recycling. You're pushing the sorting aspect. And, I think all that stuff is really cool. So I appreciate everything you do on that front for sure. I think it's really neat.
I think
big advocate for the trash.
Big advocate for trash guy. Yeah.
Big trash guy.
You know what?
Super cool.
I do appreciate that. And I think that it, like, as an industry, we're all going to be talking about it a lot more.
Yep.
Supply chains, like when you want to go and buy something, there's usually quite a few options. Not for everything, but you can source material from a lot of places. But when you actually need to put it somewhere, now you're running options. Yeah. For those of you listening that don't know what Vancouver looks like and where we are, we're basically like this kind of wedge shape. We have mountains and then an ocean on the side, and then this wedge of like viable land that we can actually like live on.
Yeah.
And what that does is it creates a space constraint issue where if you want to grow the food that you need to eat, you have to leave some room for farm. If you want to have land to live on, you need to leave room for houses. And if you want warehouses and industrial land, no one wants to deal with that. So, it's rare. And
it's getting smaller and smaller. And I mean, it's, it was a big one for me, when I started getting into the industry, specifically with a lot of the tilt-up guys down in the States and talking to those guys and even talking about construction site sizes. And I mean, those guys are, one guy was on a 50-acre site. I mean, he had a couple 100,000 square foot building, but he's on a 50-acre site. And he's like, I got all the room in the world and I got a lay down area over here and I got all my site offices over here. And I was just like, we have postage stamp job sites.
Yeah.
Postage stamp job sites. And I mean, you talk about, the city as a whole and, the different areas we have and stuff like that. I mean, there's not a lot of viable room. And I mean, it's shrinking by the day and by the month because people are, redeveloping and trying to make things work. Right. And so, it's crazy.
You need to think about that. And they're like, have you ever been downtown recently and you've seen, like, obviously they're building a bunch of towers and stuff like that, but those site offices that are like up 4 stories on like stilts. Basically.
You got the covered sidewalk and then you got like 2 site offices on top of each other. And
God, it just seems like I couldn't imagine having to work out of that. It seems to me like just functionally, mentally, that seems terrifying.
On top of each other.
Yeah.
On top of each other.
Yeah.
I go further and go down the rabbit hole of like, where do they set the pump up? And like, how are they getting concrete to the site? And like, where's the deliveries come from? And you got like one lane that you can shut down. City of Vancouver is going to let you shut it down for like an hour a day or something like that. And you got to like time your deliveries perfectly. So you just get it in there, get it off with the crane. And like,
what an impossible job. There's 2 sites that I saw that had like, that are just the most logistically mind-boggling sites I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. One's now done. It was on Water Street. It was a BOSA building.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and they had quite literally an 8x10 area to put a bin in for waste.
Yeah.
I remember one of our fellow associates, his name's Nick LaBelle, and at the time he worked with Waste Management.
Nikki Bins. No free shout outs.
Okay, I won't say the name. But Nikki Bins, we used to work for the company that ran bins.
Correct.
He called me up. He's like, I need help. I need to get rid of stuff now. So we would line up 5 or 6 of our small trucks in a
No
row.
way.
And
around the corner and
they would just
jump in and do it.
Crane garbage into our truck because they were so far down the pit.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to put anything.
Yeah.
And that was my first eye opener to going like, holy crap, this is really difficult. Like this is a hard job.
The logistics and stuff like that is just astronomical.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're talking about concrete. I was at the new site, Oak Ridge site.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking at that going, watching all those them craning up, like, you know, the buckets of concrete.
The guardrail buckets, yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't seem like an awful lot of concrete.
Oh yeah, no, it's only like a meter. Well, it depends on the size, but then there's one that like a couple meters, meter and a half, 2 meters. Then if you have a big enough crane, you can do the bigger ones that are like 3 or 4. If you have a big locker.
That's not a lot of concrete.
No.
So you're doing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of those to get the building built.
So I mean, nowadays you're seeing more and more placing booms.
What is that?
So a placing boom is on top of the tower. It goes through one of the cores or like a block on the slab.
Right.
And it's basically a concrete pump that you pull up with a line pump. So just like a concrete pump with a hopper on it. And then you attach the hose to the concrete pump. And there's a line that goes inside the tower and then goes all the way up the tower.
That is
And then there's
mind-blowing.
a little boom on top and they jack it up as they go up with the floors. I forget what Buddy said, but it was like 15 bar or something like that. It's like 300 PSI or something
crazy amounts of pressure. Like,
it's nuts.
I was thinking about that logistically. I'm like, concrete's not light.
No,
it's not light at all.
You see those more and more because of the concrete buckets and because of guys. No, I mean, that's more so on like a turnaround for a table day and stuff like that. They want to do 4 or 5 day turnarounds on tables. And so they're like, okay, how can we get this slab poured faster? You know, how can we land the column packages the same day that we pour the slab in the morning or stuff like
just
that?
Just install a giant massive pump in the basement.
Yeah, you see, I mean, honestly, you see more and more of them nowadays than really ever. So,
really? Yeah. So like it's like concrete truck to pump truck to pump in the basement and then
no, so the guy that drives up,
boop,
boop, he's got a hopper on the back.
Yeah.
And he has they pressurize it to go up. So coming out of it is just a line. And then you got like the thrust blocks. So like everywhere where it changes direction, technically it could like blow the ass end out of the pipe.
Right.
And so they have like lock blocks that have cast in pieces of steel pipe so that it doesn't like blow apart.
You see, this is the reason why I like listening to this podcast because I get so much like not necessary information for me, but it's interesting information.
I had a friend of mine who worked on a tower and they were at level like whatever, 40, 45. The podium level, it's like the main level of the tower was basically finished except for this one little hallway where the steel pipe from the concrete pump went in.
Really?
Yeah, everything else was done. Windows in, they had some flooring in, like the whole thing. And they still had this piece of steel pipe because they were still using the placing boom up top.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is really cool. I mean, I know you're passionate about construction. I know you're passionate about concrete specifically. Would you ever like consider taking on a really large project? Like not necessarily I know you do tilt up.
Yep.
Right?
A lot of tilt. Yeah.
A lot of tilt. But would you ever do like a larger multi-story project, do you think? Is that something you guys would take on?
Yeah, we've looked at some stuff. Yeah, we've looked at some stuff. I don't see why I wouldn't. I mean, there's nothing more that I'd love than a giant glowing ram sign on the side of a tower crane. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that would be...
Yeah, I mean, we look at some stuff. We think about it. And, you know, is it up our alley? Is it a client that we want to work with? Is it a project, you know, we want to be involved in? That kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't shy away from anything too crazy. So,
yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their niche too. And, you know, obviously... You know, I was always told, you know, don't spread out too far because, you know, you're good at what you're good at and that's what you do, right? But yeah, we looked at a couple different things like that. So
the lessons you learn as you get older, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The lessons you learn as you get older. It's one of those things where I too spread myself out too thin, like where I was like, oh, we could look at moving. We could do all sorts of different divisions. And then you get into, you're like, why would we do that to ourselves? We're really good at this one thing.
Right.
Maybe we should stick to this one thing.
We should probably just keep this going.
We should probably just keep this going.
So, Scotty, I got to ask you, what was your aha moment to Cam Roy? When did we first meet?
Okay. Yeah. No, this is...
This is where it goes off the rails, everybody.
My first introduction to Cam Roy was specifically at the Construction Leadership Forum.
Oh, yeah.
It was my first one.
It was my first one.
I was super nervous.
Yeah.
Apparently you were as well.
Yeah. It was all by myself.
So I remember I walked in and I got my name badge and I'm looking around and I saw this, like, I was like, man, there's a massive Ram truck parked out front. It's a big Dodge Ram.
That's right. It was deckled up.
It was branded. It was deckled up.
Yeah.
And then I walk in and I see your name tag and I'm like, Ram. hey, you're the guy. How'd you get lucky with that parking out front with the Ram construction? And you looked at me with one eye open. And you said, I'm that good. But that was my first introduction to you.
That's funny.
Like literally. And then all of a sudden radio silence. Like I didn't see you for the rest of the event.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to you again for forever.
Yeah. Wow.
It was funny because I feel like it was Jeff Block. It was someone we know mutually. He's like, you got to meet my friend Cam. He's absolute beauty. And then all of a sudden you walk up. I'm like, I recognize you. Yeah. You
were that guy.
You were that guy. Honestly, it's been one of those journeys where like the more I got to know you, the more I got to like sit down with you, YCL events and just see what kind of a guy you are. I was like, this guy is an absolute gem. Like he's a beauty. And that was like, honestly, my first experience with you. It's not, no funny stories to tell. I mean, there's been moments where I've looked at you and gone, what is he doing?
What's happening here?
He shows up to an awards gala in sneakers, jeans, and a button-up shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is just his MO.
This is Cam Roy.
I think you just provide that infectious optimism and kind of like joy where everything's just like, I remember talking to you about something and you always bring a different light to it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what created like this like where I felt comfortable enough to I'll just text you.
For sure.
I'll just send you a random message and you're like, hey, what are you doing? I think that just kind of radiates out just for you as a human being. Like this, I'm sure this wasn't the roast you were expecting because it's not a roast. But
I love those aha moments. On my end, it was, I don't know what event it was, but I went to something super scared, didn't know anybody. I think it was like an afternoon kind of thing, some event. And I'd like seen you before and I was like, oh, he's like a nice dude. And that's like a safe space. Like he's going to like talk to me because he's like going to make me feel welcome. And you totally did.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is spectacular. And then, I just kept on trucking from there. And we always have some great chats volunteering together. And it's always a good time for sure.
What was the event? It was the, was it Christmas luncheon or something like that?
It was an awards gala.
Yeah, awards gala
that we did.
We did that one. No, we definitely did the Christmas gala where you were the chaperone at the door. And
oh, yes.
I don't understand how you always got volunteered for these things. Like you volunteered yourself a few times. Yeah. And then other times it was just assumed that you were going to.
Hey, you're coming, right?
Hey, you're coming, right?
Hey, you're coming, right?
Hey, you're the guy, right? And I think instinctively everyone just knew that you were.
I'm there.
You're just there. You're the guy.
Whatever
you're a good person. So you show up for. Have you ever posted a video of these things? No, not yet, right?
The podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Because I want to tell a story about how tall you and Jeff are.
I mean, Jeff's got a good, 10 inches on me.
Yeah, but you are a tall man as well.
Fairly.
Because, the kind of visual comparison for you guys is I would look like Frodo Baggins. And Jeff would be Gandalf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not a small person.
Couple of big dudes.
You guys are huge.
Couple of big dudes.
Yeah, and that's why I think if you haven't seen it, a little plug for Ram.
Oh.
I can give a plug for Ram, right?
You do you.
Yeah.
It's not a Ram podcast, but you do you.
Okay, I want to plug Ram here. Is if you haven't seen the videos on LinkedIn.
Oh, fuck.
They're so good.
They're fun. They're fun.
They're so good. Like, honestly, they're more serious.
Yep.
But you talk about subjects that legitimately are really good. And I think that kind of was the precipice for what you're doing here almost. For sure.
I mean, this podcast in general, just talking to cool people and their stories and, what they do in construction, what their thoughts are, what the light they see in construction is. But then, on the Ram side of things with those videos is just, I always felt, this is no diss to anybody in any marketing department anywhere, but I always felt that marketing was very butterflies and rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah.
Just great. And that's totally fine. And, wonderful and all that kind of jazz. But I mean, construction is greasy. Construction is a show. Construction's a shit show. Construction can be an absolute travesty sometimes. And for me, it was why don't we share some of that? Why don't we share where we're at on a project? Maybe we're delayed. I mean, I talked one time about meter stacks. Electrical equipment was delayed, and Siemens was having a tough time manufacturing enough of these things. And it's a real world problem. It's out there. Everybody's going through it. You know what I mean? And then, even just some of our, our project updates and stuff and just talking about, something we overcame, we figured this out and we're like, oh, let's do this. We just shared one today. It was our Kia project in Pitt Meadows and we were delayed on some of the furniture, the owner's furniture. we were delayed on it. And, we had a phase 1 and phase 2 project. Phase 1 furniture didn't show up. Well, phase 2 had another bathroom in it to do. Well, we already opened up the first bathroom. So let's close the second one down and do that one. We could open the first one up to the public. That was in phase 2, but let's do it. And, so showcasing those struggles and then the push forward on it. And then, honestly, just the raw footage of a construction site.
So cool.
And just and, for all the people in construction, sure. A lot of people go to construction sites. Some office people don't.
Yeah.
There's some project coordinators, some estimators, Harry Potter under the stairs, their estimator that, doesn't get out sometimes very much. Right. So to be able to this is what this is, and this is what this actually looks like and stuff like that, I thoroughly enjoy it. And then, working on one right now for a bit more of a YouTube channel one for kind of teaching. Oh. And so really going more in depth. I know I did one, I think, on a concrete pour and talking about the pre-pour meeting, and the mix designs for the concrete and the pump location and the staging of the trucks and how many liters of concrete per hour and your place and finish rates and your flatness and levelness and how are you achieving that? And are you going to flood the slab to cure it? And, talking about, phasing, structural steel. We talk about tilt buildings, you just tilt it up, the steel goes in. Well, are you going to do the office first? Because you got some finished offices and then you got a warehouse that's not really finished. So you should start the structural steel in the office first so you can get the finishes started so you can then finish off in the warehouse with the structural.
All the stuff that people
all that kind of stuff. So working on a bit of that right now on the YouTube side of things to, try and go a little bit deeper into some of these things for construction industry, but also people not in the construction industry.
But I was going to say, I want to make a prediction.
Yeah.
Your YouTube channel will blow up. I'll tell you why. So as a person who has a young son, he's now 6. He is obsessed with watching YouTube, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So what videos does he watch? He watches videos that I watch because he's like, ooh. So technology being taken apart and all sorts of things, like this guy building a chateau in France and reconstructing it from the ground up. All these things that I'm interested in, which is construction, working with your hands, all that stuff. The second he gets his hands on a video about concrete and construction and framing and using massive steel girders and really cool video footage. And, obviously a guy like yourself, as I said, for those of you that don't know, Cam is actually a handsome guy and he's very approachable from looks perspective. He looks like just a really friendly guy. So someone like yourself doing this, talking with the voice that you have and talking about interesting things that these kids are going to be interested in. You might be literally creating another generation of tradespeople behind you. And
that's what it's about, is creating Jeff and I talk about it quite a bit. It's about that. It's a sweet industry to be in. It's super cool. And so, my big thing is showcasing that cool stuff. Talking about cranes. I can go on for cranes for days. And cranes are so much fun. All the fun stuff that goes along with the cool shit in construction. Yeah. Right? Because that's my goal, is to then push those younger people to not just see, the guy drilling a hole in the side of a building and be like, oh God, look at that guy in the pouring rain. You know what I mean? That's maybe half an hour of that guy's day, but he's doing some other really cool stuff too. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting thing too. As someone who's really passionate about concrete.
Yeah.
I know this is probably a really simple thing for you, but what blows my mind is those guys that do the concrete coring and then they cut out those giant slabs. And I'm thinking, how the frig, if you're cutting out a concrete door, how do you get a giant 8-foot slab of concrete out? Yeah. Right? That could be a foot thick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The science behind that, I'm thinking someone's going to die if that thing falls on them. Of course. But, I'm sure you've got answers for all those things. But those are things that you intrinsically know because you've seen it done before. Oh, yeah. That people not just me, but people like my son, people I'm sure there's thousands of other people
They'd
out
love
there.
to see stuff like
They'd
that.
love to
They'd love to hear about that.
They would love to know.
How does that work? How does that work?
Kind of like a construction version of Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's I encourage it. I really think that you should go after it, and I think it's a really good opportunity. Yeah. I'll be one of your first subscribers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I have a lot of fun doing it too. Yeah. We had a girl here that, she knew a bit about construction. She always wanted to learn a little bit. And then she was just you should film yourself telling me about roofing or glazing. And I was like, okay. And so that's how I got started. I was just just would sit in the boardroom and I'd be like, what are we talking about today? We had once a week, had a standing video time in the boardroom.
Yeah.
And she would just be like, okay, I want to hear about this. And then I would just like go on about something. And obviously a little more directed now and a little more pointed with some of the campaigns that we do and things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's amazing how that stuff can kind of like spiral out. Something that starts off as just like a fun thing to do can become a boon for your business. It can become something that like people look for. Yeah. And then you become the voice and the expert. And then all of a sudden business becomes easier as a result of it.
Yep.
Now you don't have to argue with someone over why like such and such is done a certain way. It's like, hey, watch this video and you'll understand why.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So amazing. Yeah. Amazing stuff, man.
I think that's all the time we got for today. Absolute pleasure sitting down with you. I'm glad we got to do this.
I couldn't believe it.
It was an absolute blast. And thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. And
505 Junk, everybody.
505 Junk. Jeff, you missed out. Hopefully you listen to this one later on.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Definitely.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, thanks, Scotty. And thanks, everybody. Another episode of the Construction Dirt coming at you. We're going to be dropping these a little more regularly these days. So stay tuned, subscribe, listen on whatever you get your podcasts, and hope to hear from you all soon. If you want to come on, feel free to drop me a DM, whatever the kids are calling those these days, but text, email, LinkedIn, you name it. Love to hear and sit down with some cool people in construction. So everybody take care and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.